Alright, students. So today we are beginning the structured essay past paper discussion of 2025 AL ICT past paper. This is mainly to support the 2026 AL ICT students on their exam preparation. So students, so when it comes to the structured essay, before coming to the structured essay, we have missed 4 questions in our MCQ discussions. So we will be covering them first. So question number 40 is one question which we have missed, right? So here, first of all, let us read the question. Nitya says the following HTML code has beach.html on her desktop computer. And you can see the HTML code here. So here the examiner has given you some code notes. Assume that she has beach large.jpeg, one of the image file, beach medium.jpeg, another image file, and beach small.jpeg files also in the same folder of her computer. The picture element, so you can see a picture element here. So the picture element can be used to specify different images to be displayed for different devices or screen sizes. So according to the screen sizes, the image get displayed. The media attribute, you can see the media attribute. It specifies what media or device the linked resource is suitable for, and the src set attribute specifies the URL of the image to be used. So they're asking which of the following statements are true. This file is using an external style sheet. There is no any external style sheet. This is purely HTML. And for question number B and C, we will be reading first and we will go whether it's right or wrong in an in-depth discussion. So when Nitya opens this file through the largest browser window of her computer, the beach small.jpg image is displayed. Actually, this is wrong. When Nitya emails only the beach.html file to Kamala, and when Kamala opens it through her smartphone, the small beach picture text is displayed. Small beach picture text is displayed. So let us see. So answer is going to be the C only. So according to your marking scheme, also the answer is 40th one, third one. 40th one, third one. That means C only, right? C only. So as I mentioned previously, students, there is no linked REL style sheet. In this code, you will never you can never find a code like this, right? If you look at this HTML code. So type anywhere. So A is false. So there is no any external style sheet. Anyhow, the picture element checks source tags top to bottom. It checks top to bottom. Top to bottom. Okay. Then uses the first matching condition. A maximized desktop window is usually greater than 1024 pixels wide, so it would match the large image. So first, as in Python, it checks whether the source media, the minimum width is 1024. If it is minimum, right? If it is 1024, if it is greater than or equal to 1024, the large image will be displayed, or else not the small one, making B is false. But if it is the larger display, greater than or equal to 1024 pixels, the large image will be displayed. You can see minimum width is 1024. If it is equal or greater than 1024, the larger picture only needs to be displayed, but not the small one. Beach large.jpg should be displayed, but here they are saying beach small.jpg will be displayed, which is wrong, because in a large screen the beach large.jpg should be displayed. So I hope that's clear. And since only beach.html was email, no image files, and the smartphone screen is narrower than 760 pixels. Now there are two scenarios here. First one is only the beach.html was email, not the image file. So image files are not available at Kamala. And also phone screen is, narrower than 760 pixels. So, as these both conditions satisfied, and at both these circumstances, the browser falls through to the image tag. Tries to load the missing bit small.jpg, but it is fails to find the JPG. Why? Only because the HTML file was emailed, right? So as a result, the all text small beach picture will be used, right? It displays the small beach picture instead of making the instead. So this makes the C true. So that's why the answer C is correct. So question number 40, the answer is third one, C only, right? Question number 40, the answer is third one, C only. So this is one question which we have missed, and question number 48, another question that we have missed. What is the suitable replacement for the blank in the following statement? By analyzing historical data of a person's previous hotel visits and his or her submitted to social media. So when you guys also go, you will be submitting reviews, right? Media of the same. An AI-based hotel recommendation system should be successfully able to suggest hotels that the person would like. So what would be the most correct answer? That is the reviews. Normally, you won't submit email address, payment records are very confidential. Street address, phone numbers, no. Normally, we put a review. So answer is the fourth one. 48 answer is fourth one. So let us see why actually then in an in-depth why it is correct or wrong. So see, what people typically post on social media about a hotel stay are reviews, their opinions, likes, dislikes, and ratings. Analyzing these reviews reveals patterns in preferences that an AI system can use to recommend similar hotels. So AI can learn from this and help the people to recommend similar hotels. Unlike contact or financial address details, which reveal nothing about hotel preferences, it is about personal, no? So and aren't shared publicly this way because financial are very crucial. Then another question that we missed is question number 49. Just read this. Which of the following statements are true with respect to artificial intelligence? AI applications are also computer programs. All AI applications are automatically generated. No, people need to generate them. When AI technology is used to generate new content, it is suitable to disclose that the content was generated by AI, which are true. So question number 49, students. A and C. B is false because all AI applications are not automatically generated, right? People or the developer normally the developers needs to develop them. So AI applications are still fundamentally computer programs. So A is correct, but built from code and algorithms. Anyhow, A is true. They are designed and developed by human programmers, not automatically generated on their own. So making the B false. Disclosing that AI-generated content was created by AI supports transparency and helps prevent misinformation. Yes, even you go to social media, you can see it displays, no? So C is also true. So answer for question number 49 is the third one. Third one. A and C only. Question number 49 answer is third one, A and C only. Right. Question number 50, the final of MCQ. Which of the following problems are suitable to be solved using nature-inspired computing technologies? So make the monthly payroll list of employees of a large multinational organization. Now for that, we now need this nature-inspired computing technology because payroll is a small thing. We can't put the AI down. It's more suitable for solving complex problems nowadays. So here the use of autonomous robots to move goods in a warehouse avoiding collisions. So that is of course can be done. Scheduling hospital operating theater time slots for the patients in the surgery waiting. Now, that is also a complex thing, but in your exam, the examiner has considered that as a low priority. But from my point of view, that is a high priority. But examiner has considered for this particular exam low priority, making the answer only B only. But let us go in depth and see. So payroll calculation is a straightforward, deterministic rule based task with no need for adaptive optimization. So A is not suitable. Robots avoiding collisions while navigating a warehouse is a classic swarm intelligence style problem. So B is suitable. Scheduling limited resources, operating theater slots among many constraints, right? That is a complex optimization problem, guys, in the real world. So well suited for techniques like genetic algorithms. So C is also suitable, but in exam, the examiner has considered that as less complex. So only making the answer as B. So question number 50 answer is second one, beyond. But if you ask me, I would say 5 would be the most suitable. Anyhow, it's in the marking scheme. It's a second option. Right. So that brings the end of the MCQs, and actually we can start off the structured essay discussion now. Give me a second. So students, when it comes to the structured essay, all the questions in the structured essay are compulsory, like the MCQ, right? So you can see the question paper consists of 14 pages. This is the yes, structured essay. So answer all 4 questions on this paper. It says all 4 questions are compulsory in the structured essay. So let us read this. A student is developing a shopping cart website for a bookshop using PHP, MySQL, and HTML. So the student plans to use a table named booked in a database, named books database, to store data about each book on sale, right? The table is to consist the following fields with the data types indicated in parentheses. So they are having the ID, which is integer, the data type, category, char data type, name varchar, price is integer, publisher is varchar, and image is char. So the image field is to contain the file name of the image of the book's cover page. So the data type is char. Assuming that none of the fields are allowed null values, so all should contain a value, it cannot be null. Write down the SQL statement required to create this book table. So it's very easy. So here, let me go in depth. So the question, if you look into the question, it asks you to write an SQL to create the table statement for a table called booked in a database called books database. So the database is books database, and you want to write for a table statement for a table called book. Right. Write down the SQL statement required to create this book table. Yes, book table. So why the note about the image field is included? So if you go to the question, you can see a note on this image field is to contain the file name of the image of the book's cover page. So why that is included means students, sometimes some students will misunderstand. So the field is named image, which could easily be misunderstood without clarification. A student, normally you guys think this field is meant to store the actual image file itself, the picture data. So which would, as we studied, which would require a completely different data type such as a blob, binary large object, not char. So to avoid that misunderstanding, only the examiner has included that note. So the fields and the data types are already mentioned by the examiner. So the image data type is char, holds the file name, not the image. So the key constraint, so none of the fields allow null values, meaning every field must always have a value when a row is inserted. So nothing can be empty. You can't leave any of them blank. So the answer, first, to break it down, let me make it simple. You need to create the table book. So you need to start the statement naming the table book. So you can see create table book. Then ID integer not null, because the ID, anything, all the fields should be not null. So it's a whole number, no size needed for integer. So category is char. Category is char. Char, you can enter a suitable value. It's 20 and not null. So char means is a fixed length text field. The marking scheme pick 20 characters as a reasonable size. So you can as any sensible size is acceptable, right? Since the question doesn't specify one, you can say 25. It is accepted, right? So name is vacha not null, a variable length text field for the book's name, size 50. So char is fixed, vacha is variable. Price integer, it's a whole number for price, which is also not null. So publisher is vacha not null, variable length text size 50. So image is char, because it's a text, fixed length, we are saying char 20 not null. Fixed length char to store the image file name. So you can see the code now. So I hope it's clear. So you can say create table book, open bracket, ID integer not null, category char 20 not null, name vacha 50 not null, price integer not null, publisher vacha 50 not null, image char 20 not null, and finally close the bracket and have a semicolon. So this is the answer, short and sweet, right? This is the answer. Or else the examiner has another answer also mentioned. You can give that option as well, right? Any of the following, you are given marks. Or else also you can specify the ID integer as a primary key, another option. So this one also is fine, right? So you can specify the ID as the primary key and keep the others as not null, not null, not null, not null. Or else option one. So many options are given. Any of the following are correct, right? So I think that's clear. So we will, before moving forward, so I need to explain some things on the difference between cha and vacha, because many students confuse on this. So cha and vacha difference. So length type, if you take cha, it's fixed length. Vacha, it's a variable length. So normally storage use, if I say 20, always uses the full 20 declared size. For example, 20 characters. So padding with spaces if data is shorter. But if you take the varchar, uses only as much space as the actual data, needs up to the declared maximum. So it's vary. So if you take the space efficiency, this is the main difference. This can waste space if data length varies. So if you imagine 20 characters I'm specifying, but actually 10, remaining 10 are wasted. But here it is more space efficient for varying data lengths. So if in one line, if I want to say char always stores a fixed number of characters, padding with spaces if needed, while varchar stores only the actual number of characters used up to a set maximum. Anyhow, both won't allow more than the maximum. If 20 means both should go up to 20 characters only, right? So not null appears after every field. This enforces the none of the fields are allowed null values. Requirements of from the question, the examiner wants that. And the closing bracket semicolon sends the statement. So I hope this code is clear. So next question. Write down the SQL statement required to insert the following record to the book table. Right. So now we are going to insert the record to the book table. table. Previously, we created the table. So insert statement. The question, write an SQL statement to insert a new record into the book table with the values below. So you can write the answer in two acceptable forms. You can say form 1 without listing column names. So I would go for the form 1. So insert into book. This is the table name. So if the table name is colors, you should say insert into colors. In this case, it is books, so books. Then you should say values. So ID is 1. Art, category is art. Then name is painting. Price is 800. Publisher is Rose. Image is Ava. Normally, for the data type when it is, I will come to that. And normally form 2 is used when you want to change the order. Now, if we are inserting it in the same order that we have designed the table, then no need to specify the column names. So form 1 is acceptable. But if you want to change the order, then you can specify the column name. I will explain the logical breakup. Insert into book tells SQL which table you are adding a row to, right? Which table. So in a database, there can be many tables. Out of those many tables, to which table? Values supplies the actual data in the same order as the columns. So ID, a number. So there is no quad. So see, ID, we don't use any quotation mark. Art is a category. It is a text data type. So quads required. Painting is also a text data type. So quads are required. 800 price is a number. So no need quad. Rose is a text. So you need quad. So quad means you insert with semicolon, the colons, quotation marks. So AL is an image text. It's a text. So you need to quad it, right? So why some values have quads and others don't? So numerical data types like integer written without quotes. Text data types like char, varchar written with single quotes. This matches the data type defined earlier. ID is integer, price is integer, no quotes, while category char, name varchar, publisher varchar, image char, all needs quotes. So both forms are accepted. Form 1 no column names works because the values are given for all columns in the correct order. SQL assumes they match the table original field order without making any difference. But this is safe and clean, especially useful if you were only inserting some fields or in a different order. If you are inserting only some fields or you want to make insert in a different order, then you should go for form 2. So in the marking scheme, you can go for form 1, which is convenient. So the semicolon sends an SQL statement, standard practice through, though not always strictly required depending on the SQL environment, but in your exam, please don't forget the semicolon. It's compulsory. Yeah? It's final semicolon, insert it always. Right. Then question number C. Assume that the student has created this website and figure 1.1, you can see the output, shows the output a web user sees when visiting its home page. So figure 1.2 on page 3 contains an extract. It's not the entire thing, an extract from the relevant index.php file with 4 blanks indicated by squares. They have given a note. The index.php file is linked to shop.css to render the display as shop. So there is also the shop.css file. So you can see the code. Choosing from the numbered replacements given in the list below the figure 1.2, write down in each square the number of the relevant replacement. So they have given the list, you need to write the relevant number, right? So it's very easy, and extract from index.php. So let me first of all have a look to this PHP for how it works. Okay, then I will explain. So I hope now you guys have paused the video and well. So PHP and the shop page. So the PHP code connects to a database, right? It connects to a database and displays the books in a loop, because without having a database, we can't store values. So there are 4 blank boxes to fill using the numbered from the list. So these are the list 1 to 8 from PHP to shop.php. Right. First of all, let me explain the answer and come to an in-depth discussion. because this question is normally possible in your examination. So blank 1, you can see the blank 1 students, SQL, and there is a space here. So there, it should be select all from books, the option number 5. So the answer for that should be select all from books, the option number 5, right? Which means this one. So this line needs to hold an SQL query as a string. The query must fetch data from the book table, which is not the database name. Books database is the database already connected to. Book is the table inside the database. So the query is select all from book, which is the table name. So that should be the first one, first answer, right? Fifth. 5. So then you can say dollar is arc, and I will explain the logic, okay? Then blank 2, you have the while. See the blank 2, while $o MySQL fetch result. Then you have a box, then echo li. So blank 2, while $o MySQL fetch a source. Then blank, then SLI. So here the option should be 1. So it should be PHP. It should be PHP. Which means this one, option 1, right? Right, PHP option number 1. So let us see. So, sorry. So while $o MySQL fetch $PH, what's the logic? Looking at the code, after the HTML li structure appears with embedded PHP text line. So H2 is the $o category slash heading 2. The code needs to switch back into the PHP mode. Since the loop briefly closes with PHP, you need to write raw HTML or echo statement. It needs the PHP to reopen PHP scripting for the next line. So the answer is PHP. I will go in depth. Okay, don't worry. First, I will explain the answer and I will go in depth. Then blank 3, action. So here it should be the 8, shop.php. So here this is the forms action attribute, where the form data like the cart quantity will be sent when add to cart is clicked. It should point to another PHP page that processes the cart, which is a shop.php. Normally processing takes place at the PHP, not the shop.css, because you know .css is which is just a style sheet for appearance. It's not a script for processing, right? So it should be shop.php for the option 8. Then you can see the blank 4. It should be the third one. ID, product ID, value, PHP echo 3. Which is what is inside 3? That is row ID. So this is a hidden input field name, product ID. Its values must be the ID of the current book being looped through. So that when add to cart is clicked, the system knows which product was added. That values comes from $row, the field of the current row fetched from the database, right? So you have heading to row category slash h2. That is actually part D, I think. Yes, we'll come to that. Before that, I will come for an in-depth discussion on this. So step-by-step flow, I have given this for the best explanation. So you can see now students will ask, you are just uh, not explaining, because I have explained them very clearly in our discussions. Anyhow, for the benefit of all the students, step-by-step flow, first of you can see you are connecting to the database. See, $can MySQLi, MySQLi localhost, for example, Devi. So this is the line opens a connection to the MySQL database named books database. So this is where the connection to the database is happening, which is a username and password. Devi is a username, password is this. Think of it like unlocking a door. So PHP can talk to the database. So now step 2 is the check. This one, check whether the connection is working. Check the connection work. So if $con connect error, die connection fail, $can connect errors. So if the connection fails, the script stops immediately. It does not further process, dear students. It stops, and also it says it shows an error message instead of continuing. It shows an error message. Then write the query and run it. So $SQL select all from book. Book means what? The name of the table. $result $con query. So which you can see in this lines. Okay. So this tells the database, give me every row and every column from the book table. So every no select asterisk marks means all. So you are going to select every row and every column of the book table. All the matching books get stored together inside one variable called result. So you can see all these will be assigned to this variable. So now you need to loop through the books one at a time, not everything. So the variable result, which means this one, holds all the books at once, like a whole stack of index card, one card per book. You can't print an entire stack of cards onto the pages all together. You know, that is not possible. So you need to go through them one card at a time, right? So that's exactly what this loop line does. So that is why we have this while loop line. So while $on $row MySQL I fetch ask $result. So what does this code says technically is every time this loop runs, it takes the next book out of the stack result, which has the entire thing stored, and places it into a new temporary variable called row. Right, temporary variable called row. Take one by one and assign to that. So on the first loop row, the first book, for an example, architecture or Lunuganka. On the second loop row, the second book, for an example, landscaping or living with nature. So this keeps repeating. Grab next book, store it in a row, display it until there are no books left. So until the last book, this happens. So at that point, the loop automatically stops when after final book. So in short, result variable, the whole pile of books. So results is the whole pile of books, and row is whichever one book is currently being handled inside the loop at that moment. So display each book's details are given by these codes. So while inside the loop, row represents just one single book. So this code is simply printing out that one book's category, name, image, publish, and price. Right, you can see that those are getting done. So since this code sits inside the loop, it runs again and again. Right, it runs again and again. Once per book, building up one HTML card per book. So now build the add to cart form for each book. For each book, we are going to add to cart. So for method post action shop.php, and you have some codes. So hidden field secretly carries that book's ID so that the system knows which book the user wants to add, even though the user never sees this ID on screen. Right? So a quantity book lets the user pick how many copies to add. Clicking add to cart sends this data to shop.php. So once add to cart is clicked, it is sent to the shop.php, a separate script that handles adding the item to the shopping cart. So that is dealing with adding the item to the shopping cart, right? Because you can see here, button type, submit, add to cart, close button. So once you click the add to cart, data will be sent to shop.php for further processing. Loop ends. So then loop ends, page finishes. Once every book from result has been processed, the loop naturally stops and the browser receives a complete HTML page listing every book styled using the shop.css. Simple analogy, think this like this. Imagine a warehouse full of books. That's result. Because in result variable, everything will be stored, everything at once. But a worker picks up one book at a time off the shelf, places it on a table. That's row. In row, we are having only one record at a time, but looping again and again. Notes down its details, prints a little display card for it, then moves to the next book. This repeats until the whole warehouse has been processed. So this is exactly why in part E, the changing the price means editing the database, not the PHP code, because ultimately it is stored in the database. So I think that's clear, students. So if you need the PDF, let me know in comment. I will share it with you. Okay, fine. So then let's move forward. Even in the marking scheme, you can see the thing how that examiner has given, right? 5183, 5183, fine. So next one, the word architecture is displayed in figure 1.1. Underline the code line in figure 1.2 that is used to print it. So the image architecture, no, sorry, what is that? The word architecture is displayed in figure 1.1. Okay, here see the word architecture is displayed in figure 1.1. Now they are saying, they're asking, underline the code line in figure 1.2 that is used to print that architecture word in this. So what is that? So, so I'm having an in-depth, I'm giving you in-depth knowledge to in-depth code, dear students, and also the difference between cha, vacha, like that. I'm teaching in-depth because in MCQ, if it is tested, you can answer. You need to have a complete knowledge in that case, right? Which line prints the architecture that is heading to $O category / H2? Why? Because you can see looking at figure 1.1, the architecture appears as a category heading above the book, appears as a category heading above the book Lunuganga. In the database table, category is the field that stores values like architecture or landscaping. The line is $O to category. So now this is a category, no students. So here see. Lunuganga is a category, right? See, by looking at figure 1.1, architecture appears as a category heading. It's a category heading. So that's why we are using the heading to, and you can see the font size is also big, no? So definitely you can come to a conclusion. No? The book Lunuganga is the book in the database table category is the field that stores the values like architecture or landscaping. The line H2 category says H2 prints the category fields value inside the H2 heading tag, exactly matching what's shown in the output. Note, $O name prints the book name like the Lunuganga, not the category. So don't confuse the two. Yes, $O name means printing the book name, which is the Lunuganga, not the category. So here, category means looking at figure 1.1, architecture appears as a category heading. See, this is the category heading, architecture or the landscaping. As the category heading above the book Lunuganga, in the database table, category is the field that stores value like architecture, right? Or landscaping. The line heading to row category / H2 prints the category field value inside an H2 heading tag, which is the exactly matching as shown in the output, which is like the Lunuganga. Sorry, which is not Lunuganga, the architecture or the landscaping. And what you should not confuse, the dollar row name prints the book name like Lunuganga, not the category. So don't confuse the two, right? So that row name is printing the book name, which is inside the category. If you take one category, books, under that CR book or Oscar rule books like that. Okay, I think that's clear. So question number E. Assume that price of Rununganga book is to be reduced to rupees 3,500. Where should this change be done? Very easy, no, students. So this should be done before also we discuss. Rununganga to rupees 3,500. So this change should be done to the price field of the relevant record in the book table. Simply saying the database is also accepted in the marking scheme. So let us see why this answer. So this is a key concept in Dynamics website. The PHP code doesn't contain hard-coded prices. Instead, it pulls the price dynamically using $or price from the database each time. This means the price isn't stored in PHP. PHP is just for processing. HTML is to display. But actually data is stored where? In the database. So you wouldn't go or edit index.php. The price is actually stored in the book table inside the database. So in the price column for the specific record. So to update it, you would run something like, you can say update and say the table name book, and you should say set price equal to 3,500, no quotation because it's integer, where name is equal to Nunganga and semicolon. This reflects why databases are used in Dynamics websites. Contents like prices can be updated without ever touching the website's code, and the change will automatically show up next time the page loads and re-queries the database. Right. I hope it's clear. So the big picture index.php is a PHP script that runs on the server every time someone visits the Breeze Books homepage. Its job is to connect to the database, fetch all the books, and generates HTML to display them dynamically. This means the book list isn't hard-coded into the page. It's pulled fresh from the database. So database is the actual place where data is stored. So every time the page loads, right? So in the marking scheme, you can see, you need to underline this code. So here is that H2 category is H2. So this one. So you need to underline this properly. Right. Then next answer. Where should be the change be done when reducing so the change should be done to the price field of the relevant record in the books table. So write like this, okay, clearly, that's better. The change should be done in the database is acceptable, but I would say this for little bit in depth. The change should be done to the price field of the relevant record in the book table. That means ultimately the database, right? Fine. And don't mark more. Okay, here see, if multiple lines are underlined, do not give the mark. So make sure that you adhere to the requirement of the examiner, right? Answer the question. Whatever the examiner asks you, do that. Okay. Fine. Very important. Read the question carefully. Answer for the question. Okay. Don't answer just blindly. So those are common exam things, right? We have finished off the structured essay question 1 discussion. It's time for us to move to the question 2 of the structured essay. So let's go this way. So Ceylon Tours is a mid-sized travel agency that organizes both local and international tours. Currently, the company uses a fully manual system due to increased demand and competition. Its management plans to develop a computerized tour management information system. So there is a organizational change, I would say. So as a system analyst, you are responsible for conducting a preliminary investigation, including identifying the problems in the existing system, why the change is required, and evaluating the feasibility, whether you can do that or can't, and gathering both functional and non-functional requirements for the new system. Normally, for an example, functional ability to take a photo is a functional requirement of a phone, but high quality photos like iPhone, that is non-functional. Ability to call is a functional requirement of a phone, but ability to call high quality audio, that is non-functional. Right? So I hope that's clear. I will explain further. And management has already shared with you a few expectations and observations. Customers should be able to book tours and receive the relevant invoices online. System should be SQL available 24/7 hours with response within 3 seconds. So that is non-functional. Because if the system is secure, that is functional, but more 24/7 within 3 seconds, timing constraint, those are non-functional. Only authorized staff should be able to update or delete to our details. Reports on bookings and payments should be able to be generated. Some employees are not competent with using new technology. Suppose the feasibility study reveals the following. Finding A. Ceylon Tours has a small local area network, internet connectivity, and modern desktop computers. But the server computer is old and must be upgraded to ensure 24/7 online access. Finding B, the development and hardware costs are expected to be recovered within 2 years. So there is a payback period of 2 years. Finding C, younger staff are positive about the new system, but some senior staff are still uncomfortable. That is normally common in any organizational change. Older people are not willing to change. The proposed system is expected to achieve the company's goal of handling increased demand and competing with other agencies. So write down the type of feasibility that result in each of the finding A, B, C, and D. Based on these feasibility results, would you recommend proceeding with the development of the new study? Write yes or no and justify your answer giving 2 reasons. Right? You need to justify by giving 2 reasons. Right, suggest one practical step the management can take to reduce the risk identifying finding C. Finding C is that is the all the staff reluctant to change. So these are the questions. So let us look how the answers would be. And also they're asking list down 2 functional and 2 non-functional requirements of the above information system as well. Right. So let us see how to do this stuff. Okay. So first of all, let me explain this feasibility study. Then only you can answer this. So you know, but just a recap. Before building a new system, a feasibility study is carried out to check whether the project is realistically worth pursuing. So normally technical means do we have or can we get the hardware, software, network, and the technical skills needed to build and run the system? Technically, whether we are feasible. Economic means will the cost of development be worth it? Can the money spent be recovered through savings or benefit? It's normally the payback period in this question is 2 years, where the benefits are greater than the cost. Operational is will the system actually work well within the organization, for an example, on a routine basis? Will staff be willing and able to use it? And will it solve the intended problem in practice? Really operational. Organizational or schedule, does the system align with the organization's broader goal and the final top management strategy? And can it be completed within a reasonable time frame? So each finding from a feasibility study is essentially evidence pointing towards one of these 4 categories. The skill being tested is recognizing which category a given observation belongs to. So do you have that skill to figure it out? So matching finding to the feasible study. Finding A, it is the technical feasibility because they are talking about the LAN, local area network, connectivity, server needs upgrading. So this is all about technical or hardware. So it is technical feasibility. Finding B is they are talking about the payback period. So it is the economic feasibility. Finding C is the reluctant to change by old employees, old aged employees. So it talks about staff attitudes and day-to-day suitability. It is the operational feasibility. Younger staff positive, senior staff uncomfortable or fear mistakes. Finding D, system achieves company's goals. Handling demand and competing, which is the organizational feasibility. So these are the final answers. Right. Technical, economical, operational, and organizational feasibility. So to clearly answer this, right? Fine. So should the development proceed? Yes or no? So the concept, a recommendation should be based on weighing the feasibility, finding together. If most areas are technical, economic, and operational, organizational, show positive signs. If it is more technically feasible, economic feasible, operational, organizational feasible, even with some minor concerns, the project is generally acceptable, right? Especially if the concerns like staff resistance can be addressed through simple mitigations. If the staff, old employees are why they are reluctant to change, no training, they don't know how to use. So give them the training to overcome the barrier. So those are minor concerns. Then you can say yes. So any two of the following reasons. So you can say first of all yes. You can say technically it is feasible. The required hardware is available or can be upgraded. And also you can see that the cost can be recovered within a 2 years of payback period. Sorry, don't write that. That is economic feasible. Just say for technical, the required hardware is available or can be upgraded and the cost can be recovered. Economical feasible, you say payback period of 2 years is reasonable. So this is the reason. You can say this additional as well. So we'll see. So if yes, you can say mention any two. So normally it is yes in this case, okay, not no. Right. Then next question. The risk in finding C. So what can you do? So finding C risk is staff resistance. They are discomfort with new technology. They are reluctant to change. So this is a natural and practical way of organization address skill or confidence gap. So rather than a technical or cost problem, is through training and support. So staff become comfortable and competent using the new system. All right. So you need to provide the required training for staff on how to use the system. Or else you can say other reasonable answers are also acceptable within a similar meaning, but this should be the better way. So they are asking one, right? Right, one, no? Yes, so you can say this, provide the required training for staff on how to use the new system. Let us see your marking scheme. Provide the required training as short and sweet. So the concept functional versus non-functional requirement for your additional requirements for a new system, they are generally split into two categories based on what they describe. So functional, it is basically what the system should do, the specific features, functions, and tasks the system must perform. Non-functional, how the system should behave. This is for your additional knowledge. While doing those functions, the quality standards and characteristics can be tested for MCQ. Focus, functional, actions, or operations. Non-functional is about performance, security, usability, reliability, right? So answer the question, what can the system do? How well does the system do? Ability to withdraw money is functional from the ATM, but ability to withdraw money very quickly is a non-functional. How well the ATM can do, I think that's clear. So simple, way to remember, the system shall allow users, the system shall respond within how many seconds, or shall be able to take high quality photos in iPhone, like that. So simple ways to remember I have given you easily. A specific task or feature the system performs. A verb-driven action like booking, generating, updating. Non-functional is a quality or constraint or limitation on the system as a whole, like security, speed, availability. It doesn't describe a task, it describes a standard the system must meet. Right, as I mentioned the iPhone examples, right? So from your example, from this case, functional is ability to book tours online is a functional requirement. Ability to receive invoices online is functional. Ability for authorized person to update, that is functional. So any two of these they're asking. Non-functional is what? System should be secure. That is a non-functional, which is a quality or constraint. Or system should be available 24 hours, 7 hours. That is non-functional. If it is available, fine, but 24/7. System should respond within 3 seconds. If it can respond, functional, but within 3 seconds, non-functional, right? So I think that's clear. So you can see here as well. Right. So the next question. So it is from this ER. Shown in figure 1.1. So here you can see the student relation, here the book relation. So there is a many-to-many relationship, right? So first have a look here. So now I will explain this in depth. So ER diagram notation, what each shape means. So normally a quick revision, rectangle is an entity, oval is an attribute like a property, right? Diamond is a relationship. In this case, this reads is a relationship. Underline attribute is a primary key. Double oval is a multi-valued attribute. So in this case, you can see authors is a multi-valued attribute, right? Can hold more than one value for a single entity. Example, authors. Since a book can have multiple authors, so author is a multi-valued attribute. So I have clearly explained one partial dependency, those things, right? 1NF, 2NF, 3NF, everything I have uploaded to YouTube. Please watch that, okay? If you are not clear. Dashed oval. So dashed oval means the age. So that is its value is calculated or derived from another attribute. Like for an example, the age is derived from the date of birth. If you know the date of birth, you can calculate the age. Oval connected to another oval, a composite attribute. So here, actually, here see, sorry, give me a second. So oval connected to another oval, this you can see the STUA name, first name, middle name, last name, right? So an attribute made up of a smaller subparts. Example, student name is composed of first name, middle name, and last name, right? So just a revision. So if you are reading the ER diagram, first have a look on that. As I mentioned, so student and book are entities, each become its own table. Student ID is underlined because it's the primary key of student table. Book ID is underlined, it's the primary key of book table. Student name is a composite attribute, as I mentioned, because it's made of a first name, middle name, and last name. Only the individual parts are stored as actual columns. The composite student name is not stored, so we don't write that as well. Age is a dashed over, so a derived attribute. Since it can be calculated anytime from the date of birth, it is not stored as a column, right? Because storing it would be redundant and it would go out of date, right? So you can derive it from the birth of date. So no need to have this age. Author is a double over, is a multi-valued attribute. One book can have many authors. Reads is a diamond with cardinality, many to many between student and book. This means many to many. So one student can read many books, and if you take one book, that can be read by many students. So redundancy in database terms means storing the same information twice in different forms. So normally the storage space is wasted. So where it could be calculated from data that's already there. Age is a classic example of this, right? You can derive from date of birth. So just if you are having the age, then it's redundant. So the logic behind each resulting relation. So first of all, they're asking you to what? First, we need to what they're asking. Actually, the question is to, I'm sorry, map this ER diagram into a set of relations using only the relation name attribute 1, 2. Format for each relation, underline the primary key. Okay, very easy, no? So you can say student. The table is student. So then what is the primary key? Student ID. Underline, say student ID and underline it. Then you can have the first name, middle name, last name. Don't have this STU name, okay? First name, middle name, last name. You have the phone and birthday. Age is avoided. As I mentioned, age can be derived from birth of date. So don't mention age again. So see, phone, birthday. All attributes directly connect to the student. Student ID is underlined as primary key. Please underline that. Right. Yes, you need to underline like this. Then student name is not listed directly. Instead, it's broken because if you are including the other subcomponents, automatically STU name is created. So don't include it again. Age is excluded, being derived attribute. It's not physically stored. It can always be calculated on demand. So then we come to the next table, the books table. So books table, you can see the book ID is the primary key. We have book name and price. Have the book ID and authors. Have the book ID and authors. sorry, book table, book ID is the primary key, underline, book name and price, and book name and price. We can't use authors because if you're authors, there will be redundancy. Please watch 1NF, 2NF, and 3NF of mine recording in YouTube. So all simple, single valid attribute of book. Book ID is underlined as the primary key. Notice author is deliberately left out here because it's multi-value. It cannot sit inside the book table because a book can have multiple authors. So if you are writing another author's name, you are writing the same book ID and the book name again in the second row. So that is getting repeated. So that should be avoided. So that's why we pulled out the author out. A book could have 3 authors and one field can't hold these 3 values without breaking table structure rules. That is also another reason. So author have a separate table, author ID and book ID and authors. So in that case, what is going to be the primary key? Both book ID and authors are going to be the composite key. Because book ID and author ID you can't. Book ID will get duplicated because same book will repeat again. Author also you can't. Name is not a unique. So both book ID and author ID should be the composite key. So this is a brand new table created specifically to handle the multi-valued attribute. Each row represents one author for one book. So if a book has 3 authors, there will be 3 rows in this table, each repeating the same book, but a different author name. So primary key here is the combination of book ID and authors together. Both are underlined. Meaning neither one alone is enough to uniquely identify a row. There could be multiple books by the same authors, name and multiple authors for the same book, but the pair together is unique. Yes. Book ID here is a foreign key because book ID was a primary key in book table. Trying each author entry to the specific book it belongs to. Then now there is new table you need to create as reads. That is what important in this question. Reads, and what is going to be the composite key is the student ID and the book ID. Right? Student ID and the book ID both should be as the composite key because you can see the relationship is many-to-many relationship. So why many-to-many? The core logical rule is if the relationship is one-to-many, you could simply add the foreign key into many site table. No separate table needed. I have explained also this in our YouTube videos. But in a many-to-many relationship, you can't put a foreign key in either table alone. A student can be linked to many books and a book can be linked to many students. So neither table can hold a single foreign key value representing that connection. So as a solution, we create a separate table, in this case like reads, that stores pairs of matching student ID and book ID, and both should be the primary key, which is a composite key. One row per student book combination. The primary key is of this junction table is the combination of the student ID and the book ID. Both should be underlined together because as here, okay, in this not underlined in my answer, please use this as the answer. Right. Both underlined together because neither field alone is unique. A student appears in many rows, so you can't uniquely identify, a book appears also in many rows. But each pairing both student ID plus book ID is unique, not repeating. So both student ID and book ID are also foreign keys here, referring because student ID is the primary key in student table, so here foreign key. Book ID is a primary key in book table, so here foreign key. They enforce that you can't record or read even for a student or book that doesn't exist. Summary of mapping rule also I have included. Right, okay, students. So that brings the end of part 1 of structured essay, and we meet on part 2 on another day. Okay, happy learning.